The intent of the research PLO is to demonstrate the ability to conduct deep, targeted research that drives effective design solutions. Research in design goes beyond gathering information. It requires interpreting insights, connecting ideas from different sources, and transforming these connections into strategies that solve a client's communication problem. Successful research shows not only what was discovered, but how these discoveries were applied to design. In my thesis project, research was central from the beginning. I examined studies on the psychology of color, such as Singh's findings on the influence of color on consumer perception. I also studied Schroeder's work on visual consumption, which explains how brand imagery shapes desire and meaning. These sources directly influence Groovewood's design system. For example, the Aurora-inspired color palette was grounded in Singh's evidence that color strongly affects snap judgments, while the Aurora and hand imagery was informed by Schroeder's insight that visuals create emotional bridges between brand and consumer. This research not only inspired creative directions, but validated them, ensuring that Groovewood's branding would resonate with the intended audience. The intent of the collaboration PLO is to demonstrate how feedback and self-assessment shape stronger design outcomes. Collaboration requires critical judgment, deciding which insights to apply, which to discard, and how to articulate the reasoning behind those decisions. It also requires reflecting on one's own work, questioning whether design choices meet the project's goals, and making refinements accordingly. On my collaboration page, this process is documented through the development of Groovewood's identity. Feedback revealed that separating the words groove and wood weakened the brand's unity, so I merged them to strengthen recall. At the same time, some suggestions like using fonts that clashed with Groovewood's aesthetic were discarded because they compromised the brand's voice. Self-assessments also played a role, such as re-examining early imagery to ensure that the sensory qualities of touch and motion were clearly communicated. These refinements demonstrate the value of both external critique and internal reflection in producing a cohesive, consumer-focused brand. The intent of the Solving Problems PLO is to show a structured professional design process. This means defining the client problem, exploring multiple solutions, iterating and refining those options, finalizing the strongest one, and providing evidence that the final design will succeed. It emphasizes process and not just polished outcomes. In the context of Groovewood, the client problem was clear. The company needed to expand nationally, but lacked branding that stood out in a crowded market. I began by generating multiple solutions for logos, color palettes, line qualities, imagery, and packaging. These were iterated and refined. Logos were simplified for legibility, colors were tested for contrast and resonance, and imagery was reworked to better capture the tactile experience of the toys. The final solutions were chosen not just for aesthetics, but for their effectiveness, validated through frameworks like Singh's research on color impact, Schroeder's insights into visual storytelling, and usability models like heart. By following this structured process, Groovewood's brand identity became both visually compelling and strategically sound. The intent of the Acquiring Competencies PLO is to reflect on the full range of professional skills developed throughout the program. This PLO looks beyond the thesis project to evaluate how the degree experience has built a toolkit of design concepts, technical skills, and strategies that can be applied in a professional career. For my thesis project, these competencies came together in meaningful ways. Typography skills inform the choice of retro-inspired typefaces that balance groove with legibility. Branding strategy competencies help me position Groovewood as both authentic and engaging for a national audience. Technical expertise in Illustrator and Photoshop supported the creation of polished logos, imagery, and packaging mock-ups. And conceptual competencies like design thinking and visual hierarchy guided the refinement process at every stage. Together, these 4 program learning outcomes define the process and outcomes of my thesis project. They show that Groovewood's branding system is not just a creative exercise, but the result of research, thoughtful collaboration, structured problem solving, and the application of professional level competencies. In this way, the project demonstrates not only a brand identity, but also my readiness to deliver effective design solutions in the professional world.